Oh my goodness, it is so good to be home. We love going away, but boy, it's nice to be back in the saddle. We got some stuff to talk about, primarily how the auto industry is responding to the Carvana layoffs.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop when they see me. Get it for the once, no need to repeat. Run up on me, watch you fall to your knees.
Get that swag up there.
There
it is. Yo, I want to say it was awesome to watch people walking around in a Sodu swag all week.
Oh, absolutely. They got the pushback sweatshirt, the t-shirts on. They got like all the mugs and all that type of stuff just walking around. It was so good.
Hey, look, if you were at the Remix event and they were out of something that you wanted, shoot us an email at crew@asotu.com. We ran out of some stuff because people wanted it. And if you didn't get what you wanted, shoot us an email. We'll see if we can work it out. We'll take care of our people that want to represent in the streets, Kyle.
We'll figure that out. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah,
we will.
This is a big community, and we just got to share it with more people, and so we'll get it out there.
Man, I'll tell you what. There's so much going on. Sometimes the news ebbs and flows, and we spent the day together yesterday with a big part of the Asotu crew, meaning our internal team, talking about the future of Asotu and some new people on the team. Like we always talk about objectivity being a gift, right? For somebody who comes into the auto industry from outside of auto and they work at your store, you have like 6 months of like the golden hour where they're going to tell you like everyone else sees it, not like, you're so value the objectivity. We have some objectivity because we have some new team members. And so asking questions like, yeah, but I know all this and this and this, but tell me exactly what we're doing here. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And coming at it from simply the consumer side, wondering like why we would do this internally, right? Why this is necessary in the inside of automotive to make some of these shifts, make some of these, claims, and then draw people together in this particular way and really codifying that. And I think what's really cool about that is when we can figure out how to communicate that internally, then what it will do is transmit to customers and community and culture
all day. So, look, we want to, before we get into this Carvana story, which I'm so excited to talk about because it's much more relevant than we even talked about yesterday on the show because of the response we're seeing on LinkedIn. But we do want to have you take out your calendar right now, open your scheduler, and just put a little asterisk on the second week of September, from the 11th to the 13th. We're working on something.
We may be working on something kind of big.
Something that might be kind of big. We're not ready to talk about it yet because this is a big something and we're trying to get pieces in line before we talk about it. So the Remix party was great. This is a lot more than a couple-hour party. So September 11th through 13th, just put a little pin in that for us. All right, let's talk about this Carvana thing. We talked about the story yesterday. They laid off 2,500 people, most of them in operational roles, right? They froze executive salaries and laid off operational people. All types of people, in all different types of roles. And, yesterday we were like, man, if there was ever a time for the automotive industry to show everyone else its strength, that's in its stability, its longevity. Like, how can we welcome in these 2,500 people who have really worked for a company that has been, saying like the anti-dealer.
Yeah.
Right? This is the anti-dealer. And how can we show them that there's actually a good side of the fence to be on where they can be really taken care of and loved.
I want to, as we get into this and just kind of peruse what has happened around automotive, I want to read our good friend and third brother, Michael Cirillo, wrote this this morning.
He's our Danny DeVito.
Exactly. And the man has a way with words. Let me just say that, right? And he wrote this on LinkedIn. And so make sure you go, drop him some love for this. But it says, here's one reason I love the car business. Carvana lays off 25 people and 2,500 people. Retail auto dealers across the nation are stepping up and offering jobs, resources, and their network to those displaced. Think about that. Think their biggest competitor screws up and they have compassion and empathy on who? People.
The people. I kind of got first. We have some slides to share in a second. I really came on. We were traveling, the second half of the day yesterday. So there's a little time in and out. I was not on LinkedIn hardly at all during this digital dealer, which
yeah.
is crazy. But I saw a repost from our good friend Samantha Foster with her friend Abby McGuire, who is the talent acquisition manager at Carvana. And this post was just like, man, I was ready to come into work today and just really be there for some people. And she just started this post saying like, hey, a bunch of people were laid off. They're really good people. I will help, I want to help find them a good place to land. And then I just saw the automotive industry just like,
yes, exactly.
They were like, we got you. So, I mean, Kyle, you picked out some screenshots from some LinkedIn articles. Why don't you share some of those?
Yeah, so I think we've got, let's see. So this is Carlito Mojica Jr. And he's the retail development senior manager. I got to meet him back at Brian Pash's AAAS last year and at LaFontaine Automotive Group. I think they've got something like 28 stores up in Michigan. And up, yeah. What's that?
A couple, 2, 3.
Couple, 2, 3. So they got some opportunities is what we're trying to say here, right? And so they're just saying, hey, look, reach out. Please send me, my teammates, a message, and we'll try and find a place for you. We are hiring. We're growing. So that was super excited to see. And like, this is what's cool, right? Nobody shares anything on LinkedIn because everyone know it crushes the algorithm. Right. So this post gets 13 shares. It's like, let's get it out there. Let's help. Let's help more people find this, right?
I want to read this line for people on the podcast. He said, if you know anyone that was affected by this and lives in Michigan or willing to relocate to Michigan, the LaFontaine Automotive Group is looking to hire more family members.
So good.
Love it.
I'll get y'all on the fields. And then let's see, we got a couple more here.
Flip another one up. There you
flip another one. Oh, go to the other one. That's another LaFontaine just sharing it from the group. Oh, I love this from Lori Foster. And Lori Foster is a friend of ours. And she does a lot of coaching, consulting, does a lot of people management for dealerships.
She knows everybody.
Really understanding culture. And then she does it for industry partners and all of this type of stuff. She really knows the HR, culture, people, personality thing. And she just says, hey, look, literally on my dime, Carvana, you don't have to pay me anytime, any place, any day. I'll spend a whole day working with your executive staff to make sure things like this never have to come up again.
Oh my goodness.
She literally put that in her post. That's unbelievable to say like, no, look, I want to help you, Carvana, the biggest competitor to the main industry that I work for, ensure that you're set up from an HR and culture perspective to make sure that you never have to worry about layoffs again. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to, on my dime, fly anywhere you want me to for a whole day and work on that. That's a big deal.
It sure is. Do we have any more?
Yeah, we got one more. I think this is Mike Cavanaugh, and he's with Lithia Driveway. Yep. I can't remember, VP of Operations.
Yeah. And also, let's just say, early Asodu contributor, like back in OG. And I believe he did win the award for best background.
That makes sense.
One of the best people in the business. So go ahead.
Absolutely. So caring.
You don't know who Mike is, you got to follow him.
Yeah. And he says, if I can help in any way, reach out directly. We have multiple opportunities posted and not yet posted. And I'd love to help you find your next opportunity and your next home.
Let's go.
And I think that, man, all of those things they scream retail automotive. They scream the way that we care for people in our industry. And I really hope that there's some people within the Carvana ecosystem that either were let go or that are currently a part of it that just really see this like, oh my goodness, what we've been basically telling the story of like, it's not a good thing to do business with these people. And maybe there's just an enlightenment around culture around this moment. Like it's a terrible moment, but it could be a really big moment for retail automotive.
I think this could be a major turning point, even from just a flag in the ground, a symbolic moment where the opportunity to show your true colors. And even like, look, everyone treats people that treat them well, right? Everybody treats those people well, right? When you have somebody who likes you and is nice to you, right? It's easy to be nice back, but look, the rubber really meets the road on how you treat the people that you're in competition with, that maybe there's a little contention with. How do you treat those people when things happen? And so far in automotive, I would say we've been a class act.
Yeah, I've not seen a single post that's like, "Ha
Not
got
one.
them." See,
One.
they don't even know, right? That's just not been the
Oh,
mentality or
makes
the
me feel
mode.
so good.
I love it. I love it.
Makes me feel so good. All right, let's talk about a little broader industry news. Toyota is seeing a decline in profitability due to raw material cost increase. They're talking about some unprecedented increases. Like we throw that word around, but like, hey, like there have been a lot of material increases. So to say like, oh no, we see an even next level increase coming. The automaker said it expects material costs to more than double in its fiscal year that started in April. It's a lot. That's a lot of increase.
That is a ton of increase. We're talking about double from 1.45 trillion yen or 11.1 billion. So literally going from 11 billion to 22 billion in raw material costs. And I mean, you think about that, you can't just simply pass that on to the customer. All these MSRPs are built into the process. They have to have they have to roll that stuff out to their dealers, and so it all hits the profit margins. However, I don't think they're doing too terrible because they're like selling 100% of their inventory as they make it too. So
Yeah, there's pros and cons to it, right?
there's pros and cons, but it's definitely kind of shocking to see a large auto manufacturer like that just saying, now it's not so much supply chain, it's we can get the things.
Yeah.
It's just they're more expensive.
Yeah, and they're also talking about shutting down some production lines.
Mhm.
There's in May, like there's still lockdowns in China, right?
I know.
It's just like one
It's
of those
kind of
things
wild.
where
Like after flying and
no
doing all
mask,
these
right?
things in a week, yeah, it's kind of weird to think that there are other countries that are still in that like mode of continuing to lock down things,
Yeah.
but it's a reality. I mean, Tesla faced it last week, and I think is still facing it this week. And then you've got Toyota facing it, across China.
Mhm.
It's just going to still be an interesting inventory problem going into Q3 and Q4, I think.
Yeah, it is. Our takeaway is this. We said it last week. We'll probably say it again next week. Is like you have all these factors piling up, inflation and material shortages and layoffs and all this stuff, right? You need to control what you can,
Yeah,
right? Like fretting about, worrying about things we can't control. Guess what? It just wastes time, takes up space in our head, rent free, right?
it
Have you
does.
seen the
Yeah.
pulse of what's going on?
And that's honestly why we keep saying this too. You got to get in David Long's All Things Used Car Room
Oh yeah,
every single Friday,
tomorrow.
because used cars are something that there's volatility in them, understanding the market, but you can acquire used cars and you can sell used cars without any dependency on a manufacturer. And so understanding and learning from the people in that room that are really doing a great job at used car management, it's a no-brainer to make sure that that's an hour of learning that you have every single week.
No doubt, no doubt. I went really hard to try to find a reason to use the segue button. I just couldn't do it
Couldn't figure it out.
without having it be so forced. So here's what we're gonna do. So speaking of the next story,
Segue.
that was the cheapest one.
Because we know Brian Ortega's watching, right?
Right. And on top of that, we missed. So we have these little sound consoles, and it's made by a company called Rode, RODE, and it's called a Rodecaster. And we have all our sounds and our trigger pads, and it's like our blankie, right? We have the Rodecaster,
Right.
like most essential piece of equipment. And we decided not to bring it with us to NADA because we had a bunch of other gear. And like we'll figure out. And man, it didn't take long. We were like, that was the wrong decision.
It's like if you leave your phone at the house and you thought you really needed it and you feel naked in some way. That's the way we felt. We felt like exposed all week.
It was bad. So I just been itching to press the segue button. So I had to do it. Okay, so we talk about cars on the ground. Now let's talk about cars in the air, like flying cars, not the quadcopter cars, right? Not the drone cars that like a plane, like a runway and the wings. A company called Aero Mobile is working hard, and they've apparently been working hard, putting 350,000 hours.
That's a lot of time, boss.
I mean, it's over like the last 10 years, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Into developing flying car technology. And they said their ultimate vision is to offer millions of customers in the US the ability to use a flying car.
If you're watching the live stream, we've got a photo of it up. And if you've seen anything that has some semblance of like flying car or flying mobility, typically you see some level of like drone capacity, where it's like
four rotors, like a helicopter, just like a drone.
Yeah, similar to like a large drone or a small helicopter is kind of the way it is. But this looks much
like
more plane / car like. Actually, our producer Isaac was like, it's kind of like the boat car, but for the air,
but with wings. It looks like when the wings are folded up. If you didn't get to see the picture, it looks kind of like, you know, when a beetle lands and it folds its wings back.
Right, it does. You're very
kind of
right.
like that. It's kind of like that. And so, this one has a parachute. Right, it has a parachute. So, like, I was like, look, I don't think millions of people are ever. Yeah, that's frightening. That's frightening.
It is.
For some reason, like, there's an element of like quadcopters that feels just like really safe. Like, I'd get in a quadcopter car, right? Because like you see drones and they self-fly and they land themselves when the battery's low, right?
Exactly,
They're very stable. You can fly them in the wind, but this is like, it's like an airplane.
Well, and basically what they were saying, and the reason they made it more look like a car is because they're saying the technology in the car and the way it's actually built is the most conducive to the way that a flying car would need to travel, similar to a car that's on the ground, as well as some of the safety features that are pre-built in to the way that a car is made for things like head-on or side-to-side collisions.
Right. So, much more likely for that to happen.
Exactly. So you're prioritizing that level of thing. So it's built with a ton of carbon fiber so that it can stay light, but still have some of those technology features that a lot of actual cars have. So they're going from like car to flying car, as opposed to what a lot of things are doing, which is like in-flight objects trying to get closer to the car feel. So it's just a different way of moving in the same direction. But I think we're still like, if all EVs are coming out in 2035, we're like, or in 2030, we're like, 2040, right? We're just going to be a 10, you know, it's going to be like,
I don't know. Patrick Hessel, you know, he's the CEO. He's named Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year in 2015. I know you've been working on this for a really long time. I just don't see millions of people getting a pilot's license.
I know.
To pay $1.7 to $3.5 million. And like at that point, I don't know. But like, look, when you're 10 years in, you're not bailing.
Yeah.
You're not
definitely
bailing.
Not. You got to keep running.
You're going to win or die trying at this point.
Obviously money there for him to keep going. So, hey, look, kudos. Like, push the boundaries, and it might help us push the boundaries in something else that can come closer
always
to the consumer.
So like, this story hits a little bit close to home to make me even more not want to get into one, because I was on United flights yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So they have like a game center now in the app that you can play when you're on the flight. And usually I work, right? But man, we just ran so hard. It was like 11:30 p.m. and I'm flying in, or is it probably 10:30? I'm flying into Washington, D.C. on my layover, and they have a flight simulator game. So I'm doing full approaches on my game on my iPhone, like using it.
You wrecked like 80 times.
I only wrecked once. But I'll tell you what, I was like, I had this real experience of like, I got to land this plane while I'm in a plane on actual approach. And so the plane's like moving, and it was so disorienting, but I was like starting to sweat a little bit. It was a surreal experience.
Can you imagine though, being the guy that's been on the news all week this week and flying a plane after having never flown a plane because your pilot goes down?
That was in my head too. That was
right? Same thing. You're like, no way.
I can do this, but yeah, I'm not getting in that. I'm not getting in that car plane by myself or with anyone else. It's not happening. But the best part of that car, I mean, the best in my mind, the most practical, they're like, hey, like if the weather's bad, you can just drive to better weather and then take off. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
It does make sense.
So, hey, you know, whatever. We talk about a little bit of everything, and you know that made us smile this morning.
Made us smile for sure. Look, I just want to go back to the fact that you know, people say car business is a people business. I would just say like, being a person is a people business. And so if you're in business, you're in a people business. And don't lose sight of that. Check in on your people, take time for your people today, because there's no greater asset to any business than its people.
Can't say anything else than that. That's at our heart, right? Love people more than you love cars. Thank you, Liza, for giving us little words to live by here on a Thursday. But until then, get out there, do something you can control, and go scoop up some of those Carvana employees, will you? And let us know.